There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonkō Table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonkō Table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yo, folks. Welcome to the latest and the greatest from the Yonkō Table. That's the voice of GrandMasterHoop coming at you from the hot seat. And we're coming at you with the latest episode of Moon Knight. That's right, everybody. We're here to deep dive episode 5 of Marvel's hit series on Disney Plus, Moon Knight. And boy, oh boy, after the wild and crazy episode of episode 4, here we are in episode 5 where things get a little more crazier, but we get some much needed answers to satisfy our feeling. But with me as always is DrJaceAttorney. DrJaceAttorney, how'd you feel about latest and greatest from Moon Knight?
The latest and greatest. It is indeed quite the latest and greatest episode of Moon Knight. You could say it's akin to a certain vegetable. I'll let you take it from there.
Oh.
But oh god, this episode was fantastic. I mean we'll deep dive it as we go along, but I think it's even better than last week's episode, and I think we're on track for it to be the best Marvel series. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We shall see. We got one more episode after this, but damn, what a way to set up the finale for next week, because I'm excited. I have a lot of great things to say about this episode, but yes, I'm here for Moon Knight.
Very well spoken. Well, we are not alone in our journey into the duat and talk about Moon Knight. Let's hear what Supernovas will be joining us in the duat to discuss Moon Knight. All right, let's get into this. All right, I'm just gonna
today. This is an honor. This trinamic trio, just like how you thought that Mark had 3 personalities, we're finding out that it's not as many personalities as you may say.
Listen, if we're talking about who called what the last couple weeks, I straight up said that this personality bit with Mark and Steven was likely created before he met Khonshu. And
Definitely.
bam, the onion was peeled. Would you describe it as an onion, Grandmaster?
I would describe it as an onion. There are a lot of layers here, and this episode peeled back a lot of layers pertaining to Mark and Steven, and we took a big bite out of this succulent onion. I don't know if you want to call it a red onion, a white onion, a sweet onion.
Whatever onions were from poles, that's what it is.
Funny enough, the children and I just read holes. So,
Holes. Ooh.
right. I got my Sam hat, but listen, I'm digressing. Listen, as we talk about this episode, I just want to put this in y'all's heads, okay? The episode is titled, I watched it twice. Okay?
I don't blame you. It's a great episode.
I had time. First of all, the episode's titled Asylum, okay? And asylum can have 2 meanings, all right? I'm going to throw these meanings out at you.
Bro, lay it on.
One can seek asylum, and that's usually pertaining from one fleeing a country for whether it's safety or protection. All right, so one can seek asylum. And then 2, an asylum, of course, is an institution that offers shelter and support to predominantly the mentally ill, okay? And I'm just gonna say this, that is the perfect title for this episode. And I'm gonna, as we continue talking about, I'm gonna keep relaying it back to those definitions, all right? But the other big thing here that this episode sets up, and this is in the beginning of the episode with his back and forth with Harrow, is the organizing principle. See, I took really good notes on this episode.
Ooh, psychoanalysis.
It is
Look
us
at
saying,
you.
and that is my big thing that I like about Moon Knight, is it is a psychological thriller, okay? The organizing principle is when the struggling mind builds places to seek shelter from different aspects of the self from our most traumatic memories. So we will cycle back to all this stuff. I'm laying those 3 themes on the table and let's roll with it. So yes, we're coming off of last week's episode, the great cliffhanger of Towerette, as Darce has featured in his background. And as we done our own research, Towerette is, yes, the like goddess of fertility and children and motherhood, and she's here to guide them to the afterlife. The afterlife, it is confirmed they are dead. They are definitely dead.
Also, it is so cool that they confirmed that there's multiple ways to the afterlife. Like, I love that they threw that in there, that they're like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of different planes that lead you to the different realms of afterlife. And I'm like, wow, did they just like coexist all like religions into like one line in one Marvel TV show? Like, that was kind of crazy.
I mean, that's kind of already how I like to think about religion. I don't want to get too religious, but I like to think, get to a point and they're like, who do you want to talk to? And then it's like,
You
all
wanna
right,
talk to Zeus? Go. Zeus is down the hall to the left.
right. Then it's like, well, if you're still a bad person, you're still gonna go to the equivalent of a bad place. So,
You know,
but yes,
I am glad that they did bring that up, just for the sole fact. And this was always something I had in the back of my head when I was watching just the MCU in general. I never thought they would address it, but it was the question of, well, if if someone who is overly religious, like let's say the Westboro Baptist Church, right? They are looking up in the sky and they see Thanos coming down with the Infinity Gauntlet. Wouldn't that throw their entire religion into question, right? But you could say, well, no, it doesn't, because again, like what Towerette said in this episode, there's still technically an afterlife for each and every religion, despite all the shenanigans that go on outside the universe. You got the Eternals going on. You got Thanos. I mean, Thanos is over and done with, but you guys get what I mean. You got these multiversal artifacts and gems and stones, whatever, going around the universe, but there's still an afterlife tailored to each religion. I think that's kind of cool.
well, it's just cool because we've already seen an afterlife, and they've directly referred to the one that we've seen, the ancestral plane. Which, funny enough, Bast, the Panther goddess,
That's the name of it. I was trying to think was the last.
Yes, Bast is part of the Egyptian pantheon. They worship.
There, when they were doing the tribal council or whatever the council was for.
No, I don't think Bast. Oh, well, there was an African. I don't know if it was representing Bast.
There was a icon in front of it.
I will say this though, Bast has been casted in Thor: Love and Thunder.
So that's a god, boss.
That's goddess. Bast.
Goddess.
Bast is the Panther goddess. Yes, that is who they worship. Now, with that said, that's not necessarily a good thing to be casted in Love and Thunder, because Gore, the God Butcher, is supposed to just wreak some havoc on some gods. So we might just see Bast get shredded up.
Uh-oh.
Who knows? But you know, Towerette's here, and it really just sets up the philosophical, spiritual journey these two got to go on. As again, I took a lot of quotes from this: break down the wall between Mark and Steven to balance out this scale of justice, which seems like a better scale than your boy Arthur's scale. It seems more fair.
Just a bit, yeah.
Well, I mean, the same thing that Arthur was trying to relay to him. He's like, your scales are not balanced. There's chaos inside of you. That's why he couldn't make a judgment on Steven and Mark when he did that whole like thing in the first episode. So it's kind of interesting that like they still weren't able to balance the scales until.
Well, but with that said though, they did reveal that Arthur's meddling was it was before people's times. It was disturbing the underworld because we saw those people falling out of the sky with the purple, and those are Arthur's people he was judging. He was not supposed to be judging those people at those times, so it was throwing them out of a loop.
On Earth,
huh?
That's what's going on right now on Earth.
That's what I'm saying. He's not supposed to be doing that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's throwing off things. So that's another nice little tidbit there. But goodness, we are thrown into, they got it's a race against time. They got to figure out their shit or face, the do-what, which is the underworld, the frozen sands. You can't be on the boat forever. So says Towerette. They got to get off. They got to figure out their shit. And they take us back to the earliest parts of where this stuff started really happening. And I wasn't expecting them to take us here, but here we are. We are looking at Marc's childhood, and we learn of a great tragedy of his brother. But on top of that, the fallout and the response of the mother was probably what was y'all's take when we learned of, that's pretty traumatizing.
Emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
Total sense. It makes total sense why he created that alternate, right? Like traumatic memory and then not wanting to deal with it. Like that scene where he was in the room and the mom was banging on the door and he just like, all right, Steven, take over. That's like the creation of that alternate inside of him so that he can escape into an asylum.
Oh,
That's exactly. And so I think that was just, I'm not gonna lie, this was definitely my favorite episode for Moon Knight. Is it better than WandaVision? No, but I mean, this episode definitely was. It was so like refreshing to see kind of like that take of it all, like I really wish Dr. Rika was on here because she gives so much great insight, but this episode was, I felt the emotional pain. Like Oscar Isaac does such a great job, like his acting and all that stuff, like it was so good. But I really enjoyed how that kind of was played out. I feel bad for the kid. For me personally, it kind of brought me into a place where like there was one moment where me and my little brother were playing around and I put him in a very life-threatening situation, and I'm very grateful that he survived that situation. But I'm like, man, like how crazy would it have been if things didn't go the right way? And like how would the mom react? Like how would my mom would have reacted? Like that's kind of crazy that, and I shouldn't be using the word crazy so often. That's kind of bananas that like that has been kind of going on inside of Marc, and that he had to like compress himself into like divide himself into, all right, I have to take on the moments of pain and anxiety and stress, and I'm going to create an alternate that can enjoy the good moments and have the happy childhood and have moments where that person can relive. So it's kind of nuts to think about, but then also very interesting to think that all of the moments that he had with Layla were not moments that Steven had with Layla. It was moments that Marc had with Layla. I think it's because Marc is starting to figure out that like I do deserve happiness and I do deserve to be in moments of good and like be with Layla.
I will say, I did not see the direction that flashback was going in. I thought it was going to be, because usually, especially with a Marvel property, a Disney property, something as traumatic as, Marc losing his little brother due to him taking him out into the caves, wilderness, whatever. I thought it was going to go more so in the direction of, and again, this is just me remembering, oh yeah, this is Marvel. They're not going to go in some dark direction, but I thought it was going to go where maybe the mom was grieving over, Roro, the little brother. But I didn't think she was ever going to blame Marc for it. I just thought it was going to be a grieving mother at the loss of her child, does not know how to cope with that grief, still loves her remaining child, but again, that grief over losing just one offspring is traumatic. And then I thought eventually it was going to tear the family apart. But, you know, we've seen that a little bit time and time again before whenever it comes to backstories like this in a way. When I saw that nasty look she gave Mark when he came running in, or when he was having his birthday cake, I could not believe this was the MCU. I could not believe this was Disney. When she broke down the door and beat his ass with the belt,
beat and verbally tirade the kid too,
mentally, physically, like I couldn't believe it. And to me, that's what made this episode all the more great in its trauma. Just because I've never seen this before in a character, especially in a Marvel character at that, tied to Disney. And it made me feel for Mark even more, because now I understand, wow, he was so traumatized that he regressed his mind. He regressed his own personality, his own alter into the back of his mind, and created a new one. He created Steven. And it's crazy. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was fantastic the way, I mean, obviously it's sad. It's very unfortunate that the character went through that. But oh gosh, I low-key kind of teared up at certain points. I don't know. I'm just saying it was sad.
No, for sure. For sure. The whole family suffered, and it's like they all, you know, kind of coped differently. You know, the mother, you know, there's no excuse to beat your child or abuse your child. However, it's like, I can't say, like, you can't dictate how one is supposed to respond, is all I'm saying, you know? Like,
right.
because she does that, Mark, you know, goes into a cradle and creates a new alternate for himself. And then the dad is the one who's trying to hold the family together. Like, he doesn't get enough credit, but here he is dealing with a grieving wife who's in constant grieving and suffering. And here he has a son who blames himself too. And, you know,
and he's also grieving too, because
everybody's grieving, and this whole situation is terrible. But I think the really, you know, cool layer is that, as you know, as Darce just relayed back to my earlier thought, you seek shelter. And I think, and I like little details. You know, the Stephen Grant, it's have no fear when danger is near. Stephen Grant has no fear.
Yes.
And that's what happened, is that Mark was genuinely scared, and he knew he was in quote unquote danger, and he resorts back to Stephen Grant. And again, it's not like he chose Stephen out of his psyche. He already was pretending to be Stephen Grant in his sidekick roster with his little brother. So, you know, the mind naturally just picked that out of his, you know, of his treasure trove of memories, and was like,
oh wait,
yeah.
I thought little brother was Stephen Grant.
Either way, the fact that they were pretending as children to be Stephen Grant, it was just like, the mind was like, oh my God, we gotta get something. Oh, what's gonna work?
And I liked how they flipped the script on how you perceive the character, because like for the first 4 episodes, we've seen Steven and Mark. We've always perceived Mark as the brave badass that knows how to fight and handle a situation, and we viewed Steve for the most part as, like, you know, the very calm, timid, somewhat afraid of, you know, to get into altercations type of character. But then when you look into Mark's backstory, this is probably one of the few times he felt weak, he felt powerless, and he was genuinely afraid of what was going to happen to him. And in that sense, he created Steve, a person who is in a way cowardly in the beginning. He created that alter so that he could combat the fear that he did not want to deal with, which of course was the trauma he experienced with his mother. I thought that was fantastic.
Yes, no, that's a beautiful layer. Stephen was created out of fear and openly acts cowardly, but in doing so, his whole creation was purposeful in that he was trying to be brave, you know, how to face your fears.
The way that I also took it was like, I thought it was the little brother, Roro, that pretended to be Stephen Grant. And when he went into, like, when he was not wanting to deal with the situation and he, like, had Stephen come out, I thought that in a way that was, like, him keeping on, like, the memory of his brother throughout his life. So that way he didn't have to deal with the fact that he didn't have his brother in his life, that his brother was still kind of a part of him. Where it was kind of like, okay, I kind of want to disappear from this. And I want to let Roro take over, or Steven take over, because that's kind of like the one that mom liked, you know, that's the one that mom missed. So if I can just give her like a semblance of that. And that's why I thought when he was like, oh my goodness, look at this room. It's a total disaster. I'll have to pick it up. And like trying to pick up all like the stuff from like all this. I thought that was like him channeling his little brother more than him channeling a different alternate. You know what I mean? Unless, I mean, I could be totally wrong in that theory, but I feel like in a way of grieving, it's like trying to take on like the memory of that person, taking it on for yourself.
I feel like you could probably mix some of that in there too. You know, obviously depending on who was the one playing Dr. Grant during their little playtimes together.
Right.
And also, I think, was it episode 4 where we got like a little spoof of like the real Dr. Grant?
Yeah, what they were watching. Yeah.
Did that person have a British accent?
Yeah, he had a That's why they did the British accent.
Okay, right. Yeah, I feel like you can interpret it in a lot of ways. Well, one thing that didn't click, and again, I took to Twitter to find out if I was the only one that missed this part, and apparently it's a potential theory thing that's going on. But so Mark created Steven to avoid the trauma that his mother would inflict on him. But Steven doesn't ever remember his mother being abusive.
No.
So some people are saying, well, in those moments when Mark's mother would beat him, did Steven also create an altar to escape that fear? Because I mean, Steven doesn't remember any of it, but Mark created him to escape from that. So why doesn't Steven remember how his mother really was if he was the one that was present during these moments?
Well, that's why I think it's his little brother. He's trying to channel his little brother, the one that the mom wanted, so that way the mom can console him. You know, it can be like, oh my goodness, honey, you're back. Like, it could be like a mental traumatic situation that both of them shared, because Steven has positive memories of his mom. Steven has memories of him talking with her on the phone every single day, you know, and it could also be a form of Steven's escapism that and I think that's kind of what they were also alluding to when he was talking to Dr. Harrow, and he was looking at the phone and he's like, no, my mom, she doesn't want to pick up. She hates telemarketers. Like, she's not going to do it. And then he's like, okay, I have her here on the phone. Do you want to talk to her? And he looks at it and he's like, no, because my mom is dead. I think in a way he was mentally blocking that out himself.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And that's why I don't really get behind the channeling the brother, because why would you want to channel your brother to get severely beaten by your mom, you know?
Right.
Like, I take it as it is what it is. It's escapism from the traumatic experience. Steven takes the physical brute of the force, but he only remembers, he preserves the good memories of the mother inside.
Okay,
the reason
it's still him present during the
right.
Like, you're not of the party that thinks Steven created an altar to take the beatings on top of Mark.
Oh no, I mean he could have with the whole theory of the third. I just don't think it's channeling his younger brother. I think that would, kind of defeat the purpose. But also Steven doesn't have any memories of the brother either, because if you have the memories of the brother, you have to know what happened to the brother, which Steven had no idea about.
Right.
So, and also I can't get behind that Mark would be like, oh, I want my little brother to get beat by mom.
I think it's him channeling his little brother to get beat. I think it's like I'm gonna channel my little brother to be here with mom, because we don't see what happens. We don't see what happens if the mom goes and like actually whips him and beats him, or if it's like,
Oh no,
she
she does.
she definitely whips and
does.
beats him. Yeah,
Because I
She
had the
grabbed the belt.
subtitles on, and it shows
Is
it shows the crack.
yeah. No,
of the-
there ain't no consultation here. She straight up whooped. She said, "This is Mark. He gonna get it. He took my row. He gonna get it." So, but you know, of course, you can look at it and interpret it many ways. But I think the simple matter of the fact is, this was the birth of Steven, and now Steven is an active player in the life of Mark. And I guess, you know, Mark was able to control Steven at a point, and then we see
shit
the
hits
point where he cannot control it.
He
And that's with-
relapses.
Right. And that's with the mother's death, when he comes to terms with his mother's death, that now that he doesn't, it's kind of like, how do you say, you ever see that movie Click with Adam
I love
Sandler?
Click. Yes.
You know how there would be certain points that would happen that he already fast forwarded to where the remote automatically fast forwards it.
Right.
So it was like, oh, here's another traumatic experience to where Steven just comes out versus
okay, right.
him turning Steven on. And then at that point, that's when Mark says, now they have the back and forth where, you know, Steven comes out when Mark is about to experience, or the aftermath of Mark experiencing something traumatic, you know. Layers.
Like an onion.
Very much like an onion. But here we are given another flashback too of the birth of Moon Knight.
Roll credits. They said it.
They said it. We can leave. We don't gotta watch.
You don't have to
show
watch the
anymore.
final episode.
They said Moon Knight. I don't know. I think there's a lot of unanswered questions still here regarding.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing I got from it is Bushman, his partner, aka
Who is
you know,
he? We
who
haven't
is he?
seen him.
haven't
Oh
seen
no,
him.
did we see him in the bodies or no? He wasn't part of
Bushman's
the-
alive.
Okay.
Whoever this Bushman character is, he's alive. But did y'all have any thoughts about the birth of Moon Knight and the mystery behind it? Could this be the third personality, the third alter,
Who's the third alter?
who killed all these people, who
Mark.
executed? Remember?
It was Mark that did it.
So you're still on the side. It's Mark.
Yeah, because I think even Mark even comes out and he openly admits, like, yeah, we were here, we killed all these people. Layla's dad was in there.
I was trying to save them, but you know,
Right.
couldn't save them all.
Right. And I mean, I'm not gonna criticize it too much, but like, you know, the origins of like how he came across Moon Knight is a little contrived. Like, you know, we see it in a lot of these superhero origin movies. Like, you're on the brink of death, you're crawling, you fall into a hole, or in this case, an Egyptian tomb.
There just happens to be a tomb right here in the middle of the desert.
Oh God, I'm stumbling. Oh.
But accurate to Moon Knight, though, you know, like he was on the brink of death, and
Right. It's I mean, I just find it hilarious. Like, oh, okay, of course. Yeah, there's a mythical pyramid, or not the pyramid, the mythical statue. Oh, the god of
would you
Khonshu.
rather walk through Central Park and then Khonshu's like, "Here's a good human."
No, I'm not. That's why I'm not harping on it like as a major criticism. I just noticed. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's your typical superhero origin.
What
tale.
Just about is if he needs a new avatar to, like, you know, spirit away. What happened to the avatar? Like, because he was in Dr. Harrow before. Like, where is, you know, like, why wasn't Harrow there? What did Harrow do to get him out? And then also, like, why was he trapped or in that temple and not in whatever avatar came after Harrow?
Well,
Well,
I
we
don't
don't
think
know
that
if
there
he was
wasn't an
even-
avatar after Harrow. He was, or as far as we know.
And the
Right.
thing is, we don't know if necessarily Khonshu was trapped. I just see it more so as like those gods, if they're like, they could be in multiple places all at once, right? So, you know, that was a statue of Khonshu. So I feel like Khonshu could just, you know, project himself from that statue and be like, oh, hello, fellow traveler, while at the same time talking to someone else somewhere else, because these are like omnipotent beings. They pretty much confirmed they're supernatural, which I remember we had a debate a couple episodes ago on if these are like Thor-like entities or eternal entities, like, you know, from Norse mythology, or if these are a separate mythological pantheon of characters. They pretty much confirmed these characters are separate from like your Asgardians or your Eternals. You die, you go to this plane of existence. It's really like what we said earlier, like a version of the ancestral plane. In this case, for Egyptians, which I mean, the fact that they even acknowledge that, I find it hilarious, because that means if there's a cult somewhere that still believes in Greek mythology, they're still talking to Hades or getting sent to the underworld.
The river Styx going down, right?
This is also kind of interesting because when he was looking, two things. When he was looking at the video that Dr. Grant was doing, Dr. Grant wasn't looking for Egyptian gods. He was looking for Aztecan gods, right? So he's like, oh, look, here's the Aztec god of whatever, or Olmec god of whatever. And it was, you know, like he was on the verge of that, and they kind of hinted at it. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. Why would they hint at a different culture's like gods or like religion or whatever? But then also when they put Khonshu in the, Ethan, what is it called? The little capture statue thing.
I don't know. I think it's Upashanti. Yeah, I don't know the name.
When he put him in the Ushanti, he put him into the wall, and there were 10 other like Ushantis there. So I'm here.
Ushapti with a B. Ushapti. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Ushapti?
I found it though. I found it.
All right. So the statues. I'm just gonna call them the statues. So those little statues, he put them in the wall. And that wall had about 10 of them in there, but there's only 9 Egyptian gods. So, and some of them are still roaming free. So it's like, are there other gods that are out there kind of like using avatars as vessels? And
I mean, didn't they confirm?
Well, if you're talking about, well, as far as the Egyptian gods go, yes, they are using people as vessels.
But are there gods like Hades,
like other pantheons,
other pantheons?
Okay.
That's dependent on, you know, if they need avatars, because for example, as guardians, if they are on par, if they're not up for debate, they don't need avatars, clearly. The Greeks, we're going to see them in Thor Love and Thunder. Don't think they need avatars, nor have they needed avatars in the past. You know, the whole thing is they sleep with mortal people.
And that's the thing, like, what's the line, you know?
Right.
Like,
right.
Because the fact that they're showing Zeus, we don't know yet if that's like an afterlife place that he's in, or if that's just another dimension, like, you know, Asgard is. Right.
To me, it seems everything kind of operates kind of on a linear, they all run parallel to each other, and they create their own intersections. But depending on how far you are away from, let's say Earth is down here, depending on how far away from you, that's where you might need an avatar to physically get there, you know, and act as your fist of justice.
It could also be a cross-dimensional thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The intersection you have to cross. Literally, there's like planes you have to cross.
I thought you meant like Guardians are on like a different planet, and that's kind of far away from Earth. So
they've been back and forth, and here we are talking about like the greater Marvel. They've been back and forth as to what Asgard is, because at one point you can only get there from the bridge, the Bifrost, and then in Thor Ragnarok they flew a ship there, like, you know, or they boarded a ship and they just flew, and then they ran into Thanos. So what is it, a planet? Who knows? But yes, they boarded a ship and they left Asgard. Yeah.
To go off of Asgard or to go onto Asgard?
To leave Asgard.
To leave.
Right.
Because it was getting destroyed.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Left on a ship. They just went east or something, and they just left Asgard instead of what they established before, which was you got to take the Bifrost to
I see.
leave and enter Asgard.
Yes, yeah, that's my whole point. It seems they just doing whatever they want at this point.
Let
But
them.
I don't think Khonshu was trapped this time around because you could see him. You know, it was not the same type of statue that he's
Oh wait,
trapped
you mean
in currently.
when he birthed Moon Knight?
Right.
No,
Okay.
Right. Yeah, no, he was definitely free. He was just definitely chilling, waiting for someone to come be his fist of justice. So,
Night.
but yeah, I think that is probably going to be one of the last few questions to cover up is what really went down at that execution, because that's really up in the air still. And you know, with the third altar still looming about.
I felt like they were gonna allude to it a little bit a couple times.
We'll save it, but there is one here. No, we could talk about it. All right, there's a scene where he's talking across Dr. Harrow, and
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, I think I know Twitter was
ahead.
going in on
Go
this
ahead.
scene. They're like, yeah, he really did have a slight different accent. It was almost like a northeastern American accent, kind of like Bostonian or New Yorker. And it's when he had picked up the glass and he was about to stab Arthur. He was like, "You're not a real doctor." And I was like, what's going on here? He's like, oh man, I wish I could recite what he said.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, is the part where he grabbed like the glass award thing that he had?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In that moment, people are saying that's neither Steven nor Mark, because one, if you go back and watch that scene, he does have a different accent. It is not, you know, Steven's British, and it is not Mark's normalized
Oscar
accent.
Isaac.
Right. It's just Oscar Isaac talking. This dude has it's almost a lisp to it too. Go back and watch that scene, and you might think that is the third altar, who seems very on edge. Seems very on edge. You know,
right? Because it doesn't even even if you're ignoring the accent, I remember watching it and I was kind of taken aback because obviously it wasn't Steven speaking, but I assumed it was Mark because Mark was the only one that was, well, I guess later on Steven came in too, but Mark was the main one always jumping back into Dr. Harrow's office. But when he said that line, I remember even watching, I'm like, that's kind of weird. That doesn't sound like something Mark would say, but I didn't question it. I didn't think like, oh, that must be the third altar. I did notice that it seemed almost out of character for Mark. That could have been the third personality. I don't know. It could be.
Personality, if there is a third personality, I think is stuck in that sarcophagus though.
Which they did not go back to.
They did not.
But you know, with that said, I don't even know if we'll ever go back to it now because, well, given the ending of the episode,
right,
bigger implications going on. But here, final act, they ran out of time.
They ran out of time.
Now it's again this mummy movie where the dead are climbing back on board, and you know, Mark's doing his best, and he's like, tell Steven to hide. And I really like that Steven stepped up here. And you know what? It is the classic trope of when your favorite character gets a backstory and B's a hero. Captain Falcon's looking at me because I'm about to cry.
Do your best.
They're being a hero. And they have their big hero moment.
Did you actually cry?
No, but I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it now.
Oh my gosh.
And he says, you got this, Mark. You got this. But if I'm you, that means I've got this too.
Yeah. There we go. Oh my.
It was a beautiful scene.
From your eyes.
It was a beautiful scene. I'll give you that. I was hyped up for Mark. I'm sorry, Steven. I was hyped up for Steven. I was
hyped up for both of them.
I was hyped up for both of them.
Because I thought they were both gonna come out of it.
I mean, I don't know how Steven would get out of this, but I don't want to think Steven's dead yet. I mean, again, I don't know what way they're gonna even try to save him or what convoluted plot point they're gonna make up to potentially save him, but as of now, he is gone. I don't know what they're gonna do to save him.
Steven, turn the boat around.
Mark was traumatized. He didn't want to. Oh my god, and I loved it too because you kind of, in a way, they were kind of like brothers also, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, if
And
you
I-
want to talk about channeling the brother, you lost one brother and he made a new one.
He made a new one, and then Steven, I think even the goddess's name, Tarouet, she came in once she understood who Steven and Mark were. She even said, "Oh, so like twins, right?" And then I think Mark was one said, "No, nothing like twins." So Steven's like, "No, yeah, like twins."
Right?
I mean, it was perfect.
More like really.
Mark just lost his brother, and God only knows what's in that sarcophagus still on that boat, because he's technically still on the boat.
Is he on the boat?
Yeah, he
I thought he
ended with him
made
on
it to the
boat.
field.
No.
Oh no, that's right. Right.
On the boat.
Right. Remember, if you're
Right.
judged, and again, that's like the beauty behind the symbolism of, he did split his heart, I guess, because although it was fracturing his mind, Steven had a heart, and Steven was his own person, very separate from Mark, two different entities, not a physical heart, a metaphorical heart.
Right.
Two
Like
souls
a Kingdom Hearts.
Oh,
heart.
no. Okay,
So-
Ventus being inside Sora, but let's not do this.
I thought that for sure that third personality, if there was one, was going to pop up and like be like, "It's me. I'm here. Like, I'm here to help you guys out. Like, let me give you some other missing pieces of the puzzle." And then Tarouet was going to like take out that heart, put it on the scale, and then that would be the balance. I thought that for sure was like the final closing of that scene, but it was kind of interesting to see that once Steven was gone, which I thought was like the good part of the scale. Like once Steven was gone, the scales ended up being balanced out. And so like Mark was by himself was worthy,
Well, that's the thing I think Mark needs to realize is, as Steven said in that moment, he said, if I'm you, I got this. Steven should technically still be a part of Mark. He's always with Mark. He's from Mark's creation,
Right.
He's a
Right.
part of Mark. This whole journey they're on is, psychological in nature, but also philosophical. But he just had to come to terms with his trauma. He had to confront. These are memories he did not ever. He buried them, and he pretty much buried them inside Steven. And that's why Steven doesn't know about him. And that's why Mark was like, "You don't need to go back there. We don't need to relive that." This is Mark facing the trauma that has happened to him, and how he's locked it up and buried and never really confronted it. But as far as someone helping him along the way is Steven. Let me refer back to one of the things I mentioned. Break down the walls between Mark and Steven. Although Steven was made to combat the trauma, it was wrong of Mark to basically shut Steven out of everything, That's how I see it. And so Steven could be dead. I think Steven's still here.
There's no way they got rid of him. I refuse to believe it. Yeah.
Right.
Was Steven like around during Mark's life after he left home?
He was
Yes.
always there, but he never lapsed back into Steven. That's why they said when he went back to his mother's funeral, which he established happened, I think it was 2 months ago from the start of this series. He said that's when you started coming back again.
Bleeding.
Bleeding. That's what he referred to it as. So, and then I'm guessing it just started occurring more and more frequently, which I imagine at that point, that's when he left Layla.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he said. Yeah. Thinking back, he said, "I lost control," and he couldn't control Steven frequently coming back. all willy-nilly,
Yeah, he couldn't deal with the trauma.
Right. No, exactly. So,
And I mean, it is also very traumatic that like if he never got that closure with his mom, that like she's gone, and I'm never going to be able to really fully get that closure. So it totally makes sense that Steven pops out every once in a while.
yeah, because Steven, it's like, again, Steven was automatically triggered to come out at certain points, especially involving his mother. And that's why
Right.
Steven, hello, mom, always calling the mom.
Hey,
And,
again,
right. So I like to think Steven's here still. We'll see come the finale, but
We're already at the finale.
we're already at the finale. And I
also
think,
very crazy that next Wednesday we get Moon Knight, and then right after that on Thursday
That's
get to
right.
the other Steven.
Stephen Strange, right.
Strange.
Steven.
They're very good with their timing. They're very good. I always credit Marvel to being very good with when one show ends. Oh, the movie's out. Oh, the movie's over for 3
Wow.
weeks. Oh, the new show's out. Very good, Marvel. Very good.
I wonder if my theory is correct that they're in a different universe or multiverse.
Except that not every Marvel property has to tie into MC. Hulk does not need to smash in from the ceiling and say, "Quick, Mark,
care.
Avengers assemble!"
Allude to something.
They
Either
don't
we're
need
in a
it.
different multiverse, and then America Chavez is going to open the door, and
No.
he's going to be like, "Who are you?"
The most you
Oh
got
my
was
God.
the mentioning of the ancestral plane. And I think
Which
that's
Actually,
all.
yeah,
Over
perfect.
to any other universe. Also, so could Madripoor, because it's just a city. It can be crossed.
Madripoor, right. That's
Bunch of
all you're
different
going to get.
and that's it. It's in a different universe. I'm calling it now.
Oh, I don't see a purpose of doing that. Just
Because this is the next phase of Marvel.
I don't think it's the next phase of Marvel. All the other Marvel things that they announced are within this
What
universe.
makes Moon Knight?
Portman is in the same universe as Love and Thunder.
What
It's a
makes Moon Knight as successful at it as it is right now? It does not give a flying shit
Because it's in a
about
different
tying
universe.
back into the MCU. And again, this is what drew Oscar Isaac, which I believe he is carrying this series on his back gracefully.
Well,
That's one of the reasons
on
why
his back.
on his back he came
Oh
in
my-
and he's like, what drew me to this series was that it was not entangled in this Marvel MCU mumbo jumbo. Clearly it is in the MCU, but it is just preoccupied in telling the story of this brand new character that most people have never heard about. You ask the average comic book person,
I'm
the
done.
average MCU fanatic, they're gonna be like, Moon Knight, I've never heard of him. Was he the one in
Exactly.
Marvel's Ultimate Alliance?
The dude from Spider-Man Web of Shadows.
The dude from Web of Shadow. Exactly. They are focused on making sure, do we love this character? Are we invested in his powers, his gimmicks, his persona, all that stuff.
And I got to attest to that because if you look back at the Captain America First Avenger, Thor, Iron Man 2, those movies did not succeed as well or are not as highly rated because those movies did this thing where they definitely tried to tie it back to everything else going on, which is why, yes, what do you mean Phil Coulson is in all those movies? Like,
that's right. Yeah, he is.
well, okay, he's not in First Avenger, but he's in Thor in a role that he does not need to have. They don't.
The whole thing that drew Marvel nerds together is because of the connection that each movie had with each other.
And right, but they did that job already. We know this is an established shared universe. We don't necessarily need all these connectivity points.
I'm done with this conversation. We're
Moon Knight, yes, I agree. I think Moon Knight does a fantastic job. And
And
just
it's
standing alone, just standing on its own. And
universe.
I know, I highly doubt it's his own. I will eat my words if it's its own universe, but
I will
let it
send
be
you
known if
when
it- if in the finale, if Hulk and Captain America smash in to save Steven, Darce is gonna say, "This is better than WandaVision."
Oh god.
Nope. Listen, I'm gonna text GrandMasterHoop and say, "You better eat up."
Great. I guess I'm starving that night because I doubt they went all 5 episodes with no true huge reference to the greater MCU. I doubt they're gonna blow it on their finale and just be like, "Oh yeah, remember Wakandans are here.
Wakanda forever."
No, that's the whole point, is that we're not going to get anything at all at the end of the season.
Good.
When Multiverse of Madness comes out, we're going to see that Moon Knight, or whenever they bring in these different characters, that Moon Knight is going to be in a different dimension.
That's fine. Do that in Doctor Strange. Leave Moon Knight alone. I am enjoying this ride.
When they release it, when I'm telling you right now, he's in a different universe.
That's fine, because as long as it doesn't mess up the story right here, because I'm gonna say right now, this has been the most consistently, in my opinion, the most consistently good Marvel show.
It may fumble on its finale.
It could fumble on the finale, right?
And I want to hold my cards close to my chest on it, because that's what Falcon and Winter Soldier did for me.
Oh, they were so close.
They were so close. The last 2 episode and a half, mid.
Very.
The rest, fantastic. I loved it.
The first 4 episodes of Moon Knight for me were like, I don't know what this is about.
I think you came in with your preconceived Dr. Doom.
Where is Loki?
I don't care about any of that. I had no idea what the heck was going on.
And again, that's the point.
I still know what is going on. Actually, this episode helped out a little bit.
This episode helped out tremendously as far as giving backstory.
Yes.
Things to look forward to in the finale. He is in the field of reeds,
Right.
which is, he was judged fairly. This is a paradise. We don't know if Steven is alive or if we'll see Steven again. The third altar, which everybody's hell-bent that will show up. But it's listed as a mini-series. There's no guarantee of a season 2. That means we got to get Khonshu back. We got to beat Arthur. And I think it'll be pretty lackluster if we don't get to see Amit rise, or, I don't know.
Right, yeah.
All this buildup and we just see Moon Knight beat the shit out of Arthur. I don't think I
feel like it would be a one-sided fight.
It'd be a very one-sided fight.
What's Arthur gonna do? Like throw the glass in his feet? Like sure.
It's like Mark. It's all in your head. And then right. Right. So
I need more of that brutality that I saw in episode 1.
I need them bloody fists.
The bloody fist.
Right.
Yes.
We need
Don't
some
give me
stabbing.
Yeah.
We didn't even see the brutality. He just spaced out and he had a bloody fist.
Fine. We need more stabbing like in episode 3.
There was brutality in episode 1 where you knew that demon was probably knocked out after the first punch, but Mark kept saying, "No, you're eating tonight," and he kept
Eat Khonshu's fist of justice.
I just need a better fight scene that we got in episode 3. That was the weirdly edited one where it was like Layla and Mark, and he got the suit. There were some shots that were cool, but other ones was like, if we're going to the finale, I just need one perfectly executed fight scene.
We just need them to deliver. That's it. Every Marvel show.
In just 1 hour for that season finale.
There is.
Wait, there's what?
A lot to cover.
Yeah, there is a lot to cover, and that is very problematic.
That's why I'm like, I don't.
Right. But here's to them hoping they can do it. I have high hopes. Like, come on, deliver. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But I think we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
But yeah, folks, thank you for joining in on tonight's podcast of the Yonkō Table covering Moon Knight. Catch us next week for the finale.
Is this your second altar? What's his accent?
Oh, I don't know.
Is this Grandmaster I'm talking to?
You know we do voices.
Who are you?
This is Joaquin Miles.
Oh boy.
So yeah, catch us next Wednesday for the Moon Knight finale, and then also maybe Thursday night, Friday morning, or who knows. Catch us for our Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness deep dive. We'll be going straight into it after the movie premieres Thursday night. But without further ado, I'm Grandmaster Hoop. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you watch us on YouTube if you want to see our faces. Make sure you listen to us on your daily podcast listening stations, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And yeah, go give a listen. Tell us what your thoughts are. Tell us what you think is going to happen in the finale. Tell us, do you think this will tie into the greater MCU? Is this its own universe? What do you think? Will the third altar finally appear? We want to hear from you. But hey, without further ado, I almost said Dr. DrJaceAttorney. I'm Grandmaster Hoop. That's Dr. DrJaceAttorney and Supernova Darce. Take care, folks.